yeah, that's been pretty successful for me.
Okay, very good. So, man, I wish some will be. I don't want to compare with others. However, if there's going to be something, if you're since this is recorded, hopefully some of the people who will be watching it will be listening to this. If you're going to give them some form of suggestion, recommendation, advice, Russell, what would it be?
Well, I know for a fact that excuse me, what's worked for me is following whatever plan that I've decided. What is not working for me is being wishy-washy and not staying firm to my decisions and letting other people influence my call. So sometimes I hear, a viewpoint that I don't necessarily agree with, but I stick with my plan and I don't make changes to it. And it fits within the rules, and it's all objective, factual stuff. I'm not kind of going by opinions. And I put in a trade, and I just stick with it, close the computer, and that's what's been working for me.
Excellent. So without micromanaging the account as well, being meticulous, following the plan.
And I learned that when I didn't do that, when I sat there and just sat and watched it, and like last night, I made some decisions, and I set some stop limits, went to bed, and then I got up this morning, and there was I just didn't agree with the market. It was kind of weird this morning. The dollar was all over the place, and I don't know. I got stopped out of some positions today because I tightened up on them because I started micromanaging my plan. If I would have just left them alone, I would have been fine. It just didn't happen. So following the plan is the best thing to do, and that's what works the best for me.
All right. Very nice. Very good. Okay, so Jenny, hopefully you can learn something from Russell's experience. So
yes.
Very
Just
good.
wondering, when you say you apply fixed straws, which time frame do you use most often?
I've been using mainly the 4 hours and less. 4 hours, 1 hour.
I see.
And I even trade on the 15-minute time frame sometimes too.
Okay. So most trades, how many days or how many for around a trade?
They've usually been news event related, and where they're within a news event related plus being in an area of supply or demand that's going to back up and make that trade work. And so that's what I've been doing, looking for multiple reasonings for a trade to work rather than not to work. And that's really helped too. So finding a high probability trade and then figuring out, where it's pulled back to and is it ready to go, and yeah. So, but mainly on a 4 hour and less.
Thank you.
All right, very nice. Okay, good. So let's continue basically what we left off. You should be able to see my screen right now. Okay, which side do you see? Do you see the document, or you see the presentation? So which screen do you see?
Typical challenges traders face.
Okay, good. So you see the actual presentation itself. Okay, cool. All right, let's go through. We're going to move forward. So last time we went through what type of trader you are, what kind of trader you are, whether you could be more prone to addiction or to trading more as because you want to trade, because you need to trade. And we determine your three-dimensional profile, whether if you are highly conscientious, or lowly conscientious, highly neurotic or lowly neurotic, risk-averse, risk-tolerant, or a risk taker that identifies which time frame you should be basically trading, whether if you're a momentum trader, a day trader, a swing trader, or even a trend follower. Very important. That's why when you're asking Jenny about Russell's stuff in terms of which time frame, it is imperative from here onwards to focus on your style of trading, because one person's style is not necessarily going to be the same as yours. So you have to master that time frame or the style of your trading, and then focus on that. In sport, we have the saying that fight your own battles, don't fight the way the other person fights. Because when you start doing that, then the other person will actually win. And the reason, because you're not focused now on your own performance, on your own way of you should be, the way how you should be trading. Okay, very, very important. And then from here on forwards, we're going to go through the typical challenges that traders face before, during, and after a trade. There's quite a few. I believe there's about 14 different type of emotions, but the most common one, of course, is fear and greed. So I have found that the main emotional barriers that underperforming traders encounter are the following: fear of losing, fear of success, greed, regret, anxiety, guilt, stress, depression, arrogance, uncertainty with their trading system, and unhappiness. In actual fact, the most one is lack of discipline, to be meticulous. I don't know how many years I've been doing this now, basically 14 years, that when a trader has a lack of discipline and they're not very meticulous, for some reason they lose money. But when they start being meticulous and they're being disciplined, hence, great example again, so Russell stuck to his own plan by being disciplined and not micromanaging, bam, then the plan is go as planned, everything works. So now that Russell is being disciplined, following the plan, closing the computer off, letting it ride, and hence the result is the result. So if you want to know what the key to successful trading is, simply, there is no key. The key is actually you. You, as a form of the disciplinary aspect, can you follow your own set of rules to have that integrity, meaning to honor your own word, that you're not going to micromanage it, that you're going to be, when the right time, basically when the right time to execute, are you going to be there? Are you going to take action? To take action takes a lot of commitment, motivation, focus, right? So that alone, the being component. So you have to be on top of things with the right attitude, right work ethic, if you want to be consistent basically in trading. So that's why there's a big difference between an elite champion trader compared to a mediocre. Because someone who's mediocre, easy. They will procrastinate. I'll do it tomorrow. I won't be there, because they're just not thinking it as a hobby. It's no longer thinking as a business or as a profession. Simply, it's like we were discussing basically last night with the intermediate and advanced, is that if you're working in a normal 9-to-5 job, and then the project manager, the manager itself, gives you a task, and you have to complete the task by the end of the day. If you didn't complete that task because now you're being too lazy, you don't feel like doing it, then what happens? What happens now to your job? If you are in a corporate world and they give you a task and you didn't complete that task based on the given time frame, what normally happens?
Well, you're disciplined or threatened with your job.
All right, so you'd be threatened, and part of your review, performance review, they might say that you're not a team player, because with that one task that they're waiting on you, all of a sudden becomes a backlog with everything that everybody's doing, right? So, and in the first place, that was supposed to be your job. That's what you applied for, and that's what you've been trained for in order to get that simple task. See, in trading, you don't have someone to report to. You have 5 different tasks that you have to be on top of things. Macrofundamentally, being an analyst, psychologically, based on your mental game, technically, risk management, money management. So you have 5 different tasks that you have to do. So if you're not on top of those things and you're backlogging one or even all 5, and then no wonder why people don't make money is because of that aspect. Yes, being your own, being an employer or being self-employed is more tougher than being employed. Why? Because when you're employed, you have no responsibility. You clock in, clock out, and you're done, basically. True? That's the only basically reason why I'm employed is when people are an employee. It's almost like a robot time. They wake up, go to work, be at a certain time, 9, 5 o'clock, they're finished, bam, go home. That's it. That's their own responsibility. Just imagine if you are the owner of the company, you have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of tasks that you have to do. And you have to be on top of things that your employees are doing the right things. Making sure that you're profiting, making sure that you are hiring the right people with the right tasks. So if you don't see trading as a form of a business, then you will never ever going to see it or make it seriously that you have to be responsible with these different tasks. So it's easy to procrastinate. It's easy just to say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do my trading checklist tomorrow. I'll do it later. And it's easy to say, okay, well, if the time is to execute, say, the timing is going to be at 6 p.m., it's so easy as well to say, oh, I'm not going to be there at 6 o'clock. It's okay. See, there's now the big difference being an employee and being self-employed. This is why it's all about priority. It's all about how you really want it in order for you to succeed basically in trading. And the way how you see it basically in trading. Either you really want to make it as a hobby or make it as a business. Business either full-time or part-time. Right? So very important. So winning traders are very disciplined. They have self-belief and are very committed. They are actually focused. So rather than trading by the seat of their pants, they follow a very detailed trading plan. And then with the trading checklists, if they don't follow that order alone from top to bottom, they go every single cell and they're making shortcuts. It wouldn't work. Yes, some people are now making additional stuff that will work within their own way of trading. And I don't mind when they change it, but as long as they don't change the actual format, because there's an actual format itself. In terms from top to bottom. So that being said, you have to follow a very detailed trading plan. That plan is basically your checklist. It's like basically being a pilot. A pilot checks, triple checks, quadruple checks from top to bottom. Because if they miss one, and now guess what happens? Who are they now protecting? So why do pilots double check, triple check, quadruple check, take their time in checking the airplane even before they take off? Jenny, why?
Because he wants to protect his passenger.
Very good. So how can we relate that now to trading? When you're trading, who are your passengers?
Our own fund.
Exactly. So if you are not very meticulous and you're willing to basically kill some of your passengers, do you really want to do that?
No.
No, you have to protect them as much as you can with a calculated risk. Right? But you have to double, triple check. You have to be meticulous before you execute, before you take off. And you have to have the calculated risk as part of your management. So I had a couple of soldiers, actually ex-military, and they were actually in the special forces. It's so interesting in terms of their mentality. Each and every time they go on the job or on a mission, they have to double check, triple check basically their equipment. And one of them is basically a leader. His job is for the safety of his soldiers. So if they go on a mission to simply either save some hostages or prisoners, and there's one where they went out and there are no casualties. And so what I tell them about trading is that when you're trading, it's very similar, where you're there to basically save some of the hostages or the prisoners, or basically prisoner of war or whatnot, based on the mission. But of course, when in act of battle, there's going to be some form of casualties. It's very seldom that it's going to be zero casualties. So if there are going to be some form of casualties, then you need to calculate how many will be part of the casualty. So, of course, the job is to have no casualties. So in trading is a psychological warfare. Same. There's actually no difference. So the question is, part of your calculation is, how many are you willing to basically give back, like in terms of the casualty itself? Is it 5%, 10%? Are you going to be okay that if one area will be bombed, and you're going to lose 10% of your whole platoon? Of course, the answer is no, and the reason is to maintain zero casualty as much as you can. However, there's going to be some form of accountability that just in case something goes wrong, then I'm willing to lose a percentage of my own platoon. That platoon is basically your money. In order to save, say, 100 prisoners or 100 survivors, are you willing to risk 10 of your men? See what I mean? This is why in terms of your capital, if you're willing to make 100 pips, are you willing to risk 20 or 30 pips? You say yes, then you have to go with the mission. If you're not, then don't go with the mission at all, until you find a place of where you are happy with in terms of the casualty. Okay, and this is how you can eliminate fear. Because when you have that accountability and responsibility that you take full action of your own planning, this is how you can maintain peace. And if you do not have that, then you will never have peace. Regret will always come into play. Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So there are two main areas that cause pain, is mainly during trading and after trading. Okay. First, we will find out what your challenges are before trading. Okay, there are 5 different questions right here that you have to answer. 1, how does trading really make you feel? 2, what are your emotions before you get into a trade? 3, what do you say to yourself before you trade? 4, what thoughts do you normally think before you trade? 5, can you identify the specific edges you possess over the many other motivated, interested traders that fail to achieve success in the markets? Do you really have an edge? And if so, what are you doing to maintain it? Some people will have an edge to a certain extent. And once they're happy based on that edge, this is where they start to self-sabotage the success, and will go back to where they're at and will start to play catch-up. You do not want to be in that position. Once you've found that edge, so take your results, for example, Russell. You already doubled your account. What can you do to maintain that in order for you to double it again and double it and just mainly compound it? All right, so I'll give you, it's 10:11. Give you about 10 minutes 15 minutes to accomplish it, and then we're going to go to the next one.
This is a before trading?
Correct. Yes, that's right. Before trading. I'm sorry. In actual fact, that is basically finding what your challenge is at this point in time. Okay, so do you need more time? Or are you guys finished? Okay, I'll start then from Russell. What did you write, please? Let me go through first the first question. So, how does trading make you feel, Russell?
Usually ahead of time, I'm pretty hopeful, pretty excited that I have an opportunity to make money and in something that I enjoy doing. And so before I trade, I'm usually pretty excited that I have even just to have the opportunity to do it. And I think the emotions that I have beforehand is that I'm usually pretty calm and relaxed. I'm pretty confident that what I'm doing is working, and I believe in what I'm doing, and then I pretty much double check everything. And what I say to myself is that this is I believe in what I'm seeing, and what I've done, I've double checked it, I've triple checked it, and so I just believe in what I've done, and I put faith in that, and make the decision to put on the trade, and and I have to think about what my intentions are, and the thoughts that usually go on before the trade is that this is how I'm making money, and I know it sounds kind of weird, but that's what I think beforehand, and I don't know if I necessarily have an edge. I don't really believe it's an edge. I just believe that it's something that works. So if it works, don't change it, and don't get all too technical, and just keep it pretty. Whatever's working for you, keep it simple, so that works for you. And that's kind of what my edge is, I believe. And it works, and I'm sticking to it. That's it.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. So that being said, can you identify the specific edges you possess over the many other motivated, interested traders that fail to achieve success in the markets? And if so, what are you doing to maintain it, Russell?
I just make sure I follow it. Just follow the plan. Just make sure that my actions are duplicatable.
It's easier said than done, right? Like you say, just make sure to follow the plan. So in terms of the specific edge that you have to have, so what are the processes in order for you to maintain, to follow the plan?
Well, I mean, just going over a checklist that's worked for me, the way I set up everything, just following.
So what do you think is the key element or the mechanics behind that? Because like anyone can create basically a well-defined rule. For example, micromanaging. Then all of a sudden, bam, you got impulsive, you micromanaged your trade this morning, and it was a loss rather than following the plan and just letting it be, or else it would have been a profit, which everyone will experience the same in terms of micromanagement because of the actual emotion itself. So who do you have to be? And this is now where the be do have comes into play. Who do you have to be to maintain consistency of following the plan? Mainly to follow the plan.
I have to be meticulous.
Great. So meticulous.
Have integrity.
Very good. See, so these values are so important in terms of trading. Excellent. Nice. All right, your turn, Jenny, please.
The trading made me feel excited and also stressful. My emotions before I get into trade is that I was expecting something good to happen or something surprise to happen. What do I say before I trade? I need to know what I'm doing, otherwise I may lose money. What thoughts do I normally think before I trade? This is a good opportunity. Either go for it or miss it. can you identify the specific ages? I would say because I take these class, EST classes, so I was equipped with good trading psychology and basic important trading knowledge, skills, which I think that is over many other traders. Do I really have an age? I'm still building up, but I'm not quite sure. I'm still thinking. Okay, that's all.
All right, very good, and thank you for sharing your honesty. In terms of that question, Jenny, in terms of an edge, this is basically pure confidence. An analogy is simply you are an engineer, or are you a software engineer, Jenny?
Yes.
Okay. So you, at the very beginning, you had numerous choices that you got to do. You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be an engineer, electrical engineer, software engineer, and so forth. You could be a teacher. For some reason, you chose to be an engineer, and part of that is now software. So at the very beginning, do we normally, or when we have an idea, do we normally think about, oh, I want to make money being a software engineer? Or do we study to be an engineer of software as a profession, to make it as a career? Do we focus on making money while we're learning?
No.
No, absolutely not. So, but in order to graduate, to have that degree, is through the act of studying. But behind that, in terms of the mechanics of studying, you need focus, you need commitment, you need motivation to study, you need persistence, that sometimes when you have quizzes or exams, rather than getting an A, you get a B, then you have to push basically your limits in order to get an A, depending on what you're basically wanting to gain. And lastly, you need confidence that you can basically do it and you can finish your degree. Because if you don't have confidence, you don't have the trust and belief that you can finish your degree, what normally happens when a person will have a lack of confidence and lack of trust and belief that they cannot do it? What happens?
They could most likely fail. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't go forward.
Exactly. They quit. They say, oh, I can't do this. Maybe perhaps being an engineer is not for me. Maybe perhaps being pushed through via my outer environment, by my parents' family, and so forth. What if I want to be a teacher? What if I want to be a lawyer? What if I want to be a doctor? So in order for someone to keep going, to be persistent, you need that confidence. You need all of these, actually, to have an edge. And also the discipline that if it's time to study, it's time to study. And we'll do anything in order to basically to pass, to get the degree after 3 years. 4 years, depending. Some people take their master's degree, their PhD, and so forth. And now they're $150,000 basically in debt in terms of studies, and they have to play catch up because they have to pay their debt. And the only time they're going to make money once they pay off the debt, basically, and that's where they're going to be in a positive. After 3 years, 6 years, or so forth of basically studying, without even thinking about making money. See, this is the main issue about retail traders or traders who want to learn how to trade. Automatically, they think about the money aspect, and they tend to forget about the process to be a professional trader as making as a career in order to make money. However, in the process, either you're consistent to the beauty about learning how to trade is in the process you can make money. But in the end, you also have to give some money as a form of learning to gain experience. You have to give money back to the markets, but calculated one though. And you don't need 3 years to 6 years. All you need is these qualities, and you can maintain those qualities, then definitely you'll have an edge. Does that make sense to everyone basically in the room? So people are asking, like, what is really the key to successful trading? Well, in actual fact, there's no key because the key already lies within us. We just have to maintain it. And the key are this. Everything here that pertains you as a human being, your beingness. Because it's easy. The methodologies are very easy. The question is, how can you maintain that edge based on your being to follow the simple methodologies? Even a simple system of heads or tails. You can make money with heads or tails. But the challenging part is this area. That when it's time to perform, it's time to perform. It's time to trade, it's time to trade. It's business, it's business. If you're going to be serious, you got to be serious. You got to be focused, you got to be focused. You got to be confident, you got to be confident. But you need trust and belief, or believe in yourself that you basically can do it. Because if you have a lack of, it doesn't matter what you'll be doing. It doesn't matter you'll leave from me, go to a different organization to learn. Nothing will change. Because in order for something to change, you as an individual first has to change. And if you can change the way how you think, then you will definitely have an edge compared to the rest of the people out there who also would like to make money in the markets. Only difference between us and them is the awareness. Each and every time that we're trading, that we are aware psychologically, technically, physically, spiritually. Right. Any questions there, Jenny, or even Russell or Jason?
I don't have any.
Jenny, any questions? Jason, any questions?
It took much time to build up the foundation of this.
I'm sorry, what was that, please, Jenny?
So it will take very much time to build up this foundation, like, I don't know, this be a good trader.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the self-development part was an important element for me. And this is simply the key foundation, actually, to successful trading is the 6 inches between our ears. It's a constant battle. And I believe that's what we call our inner demons. But once you're aware of those inner demons and you can overcome those inner demons, then it becomes easier each and every time. Like I said, up to this day, I still have a coach. Well, trader's like, no, she's not a trader. She's more of she's a hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner, but it's mainly more for my well-being psychologically. That if there's something that I can't really look at and can't deal with, then I have to get in contact with her. So my major for me now is that if this is my cup and it will get filled up, then I need to empty that cup again. So to get out of all whatever fear that I may have, whatever greed that I may have. Right? So like, for example, last week, I got into a greed mode based now on my ego and righteousness. And I have to maintain that when I'm trading that there is no ego. Hence, from a profit, becomes now to a loss, and now I have to create a strategy to minimize the loss in order to make it basically a profit. So that is where I'm at in terms of my stage. So it's always going to come into there. Fear will come in once in a while, especially if I'm on a big account and making a loss, because sometimes it will come back after an event that I lost so much money, and that actually gives me the edge to always be on my toes. Is about risk management. And it comes down to the righteousness. Actually, that is mainly my competitiveness to always want to win. So, but if I take that out of the equation and I go back to the performance, and this is where now I always have to focus on in terms of the awareness. In order to get rid of that, I have to exercise, I have to meditate, I need to create, I need to go for a walk, go for a hike to think of a strategy, because especially at night, that's where I actually really think very well. And if I'm going for a hike being by myself, it gives me basically that input of like, okay, what can I do now? So trading, you do not have only one strategy. You have multiple strategies that you can implement, like playing chess, basically. Okay, so your turn, Jason. One more. Hello, Jason. Hello, you there? Yep. Maybe you're muted. Hello.
Hello, 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 hello.
There you are. Yep, there you go. Yeah.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Can't hear you guys. I'm gonna exit out.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you, Jason. Okay, so I guess you know, there's an issue basically on his end. So let's have a quick break, and then we're going to go to the technical analysis perspective, okay? So we'll have a quick break, 10:45, back at 10:47. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so Jenny is back. Let's wait for Russell. Okay, all right. Russell is back as well. Russell, just a quick question. When you came in, where did you start? Did you start from trends or did you start from supply and demand?
Not sure about your question. What do you mean?
Because you came in a little bit later, right? Or did you start from the beginning of the first quarter? So when you came in, which topic were you basically where you landed? Hopefully that makes sense. Did you? Because you didn't start from the very beginning, right? Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think I started in the second week of the prior. I'd have to look at my notes to find out exactly when, but
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
we did peaks and troughs and trend lines and supply and demand already.
Okay. They're basically in the past, right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Alrighty. Let me email you and see if basically you're ready to get your exam, since if you covered pretty much everything. Yeah, give your exam and then you can still have a choice to keep, I mean, which you do have a choice anyway, to always come back to the beginners and you can finish the whole lot again whilst you also start with the intermediate. Provided that you do pass. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, you should be able to see my slide right now. Okay. Today we're going to talk about the energy flow of price and the importance basically of trends. The trend definitely is your friend. It is like when you are in the ocean or on the beach, there's a wave, waves coming towards you. If you fight that wave, you get wiped out. But if you're going to be with that wave and you start boogie boarding or start surfing, well, to do boogie boarding, even swimming with the tide, it feels good. Okay, so same in the markets. You can't go against the trend, especially when it has a lot of power. You can't fight it. Right, the objective is to identify trends objectively. Very important to be very objective with these, actually. So as when I started, or when I learned how to trade, it was so subjective that I've been instructed, if you put it over here, you have 2 or 3 touches, that's how you do it, but there's actually a proper way of doing it. Okay. And different types of trends and the hierarchy of trends, where they do have a hierarchy. Okay, to define a trend is simply a series of higher highs. An uptrend is only 2 trends, uptrend or downtrend. A series of higher highs and higher lows for an uptrend, and a downtrend, a series of lower highs and lower lows. To create a trend, you need 4 points. So you have 2 ranges right there. You have a high, you have a high. You have a low, you have a low within the range. That creates a higher high. That creates a higher low. Likewise, to the downside, you need 4 points. Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, point number 4. So 1 and 2 creates a lower high. Point 3 and 4 creates a lower low. Very easy. And the reason being is because within that time frame, if you put into a microscope, meaning you minimize the time frame, these two bars will create an uptrend. These two bars will create basically a downtrend. Okay, any questions based on that? That you need 4 points, you need 2 ranges in order to create a trend.
No
Imperative.
questions.
Okay. It's really imperative to fully understand that. Right, next one. To create a confirmed low or a trough and a confirmed peak, you need 3 ranges. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. To create a trough, you need a series of lower lows and higher lows and a series of lower highs and higher high. Especially on the trough, the most important part is this. You need lower low and higher low. So, that being said, you have point 1, point 2, point 3, but in actual fact it's 4 because it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Or to avoid confusion, if you go to a 2 or 3, 1 is greater than 2, 2 is less than 3. Okay, for a peak, same thing, you have a higher high and you have a lower high. 1 is less than 2, 2 is greater than 3 to create a peak. It's to create a trough. Questions?
No.
Jenny?
No questions.
Okay, great. Then there's no questions. Please open up your trading platforms and identify the pick and trough formula then of the euro against the US dollar based on the daily time frame for now of 3 months. Okay, so type it right here. Euro US dollar daily 3 months. Identify the peaks and troughs. Any questions in terms of the exercise?
We could do horizontal lines, Ray?
Nope. Just identify the peaks and troughs for me for now, please.
With a P and a T?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I had this done a week ago, maybe a few days ago. So I just added one pick. That's all.
Okay. So just do the euro dollar daily time frame. See if you could do it again. More practice, the better. Right there, Jenny.
You mean which time frame?
Okay. You have the euro dollar daily time frame, 3 months.
Yes, that's what I did.
Yep. Show me, please. Do it again.
Again.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start from you, Russell, and then Jenny, okay?
All right, I believe I have them. Dan, do you want me to go back, starting from the present candle?
Yeah, you missed one. You missed two. You missed three.
Well, I
Four.
wasn't quite finished double checking. So, but
Okay, go through from the current peak, please.
Current candle. Okay, peak.
Yeah.
Trough. Peak. This red one. Trough. This red one.
Okay. Now, see. So you missed it. You missed one in between the peak and the trough. See where your cursor was at?
This trough.
In between the trough and the peak. So there's one in the middle.
This trough right here. Okay, trough. This red one is a peak. This red one is a peak.
Sorry. See where your cursor is at?
On this red peak.
1, 2 candles to your right. Put your cursor directly on that doji. Because your cursor is way above it, right?
On this blue doji?
2 to your right.
2 to my right. On this trough?
Okay. So see, there is a trough in between there. Am I seeing the same thing?
I don't think so. No, because I'm on this red trough here, and then there's a peak right here, and then there's a trough on this doji.
See, I don't know whether there's a delay, but if you put your cursor, can you show me the doji itself, please?
That would be on 326 or 327. Is that the one you're talking about, Ray?
No, it is, see, 0220, February 20th, 2 to your right.
0220. 2 to my right. Oh, okay, that one.
Well, that's weird.
Wow.
I'm seeing here as a...
Yeah, so I was totally in another section of the chart.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
now your cursor is pointing on 326. I mean, you're showing me the 326, but your cursor is pointing on 0220th.
Oh,
so
really?
Weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Because I was on the 4th, April 3rd, 4/3.
Okay.
So my cursor. So that is weird.
That is so weird.
But I'm left off on 4/3 on that peak.
Okay, let's say, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, maybe the date for me then, please.
Okay, and then
I jumped the gun.
326 is a trough. Then there's a trough on the 27th, and then there's a peak on the 26th, peak on the 25th, peak on around the 18th, that blue one, and then a trough on the 13th.
Yep.
And then a peak all the way on the 226.
Yep.
And a trough on the 24th.
Yep.
Trough on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Peak on the 19th, 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Trough on the 16th. Peak on the 15th. Trough on the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
Peak on the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Peak on the 120.
Okay, so you missed one. In
Okay,
between, there you go.
Trough on the 29th,
Yes, sir.
a trough on the 26th, a peak on the 21st, trough on the 16th, peak on the 12th, trough on the 8th, trough on the 5th, peak on the 29th, and a trough on the 23rd, and a peak on the 16th.
Perfect. Okay. Now I know as well where that's why there's an issue here. Can you right click for me, please? Click on options.
Option.
Second from the bottom.
Okay.
All right. General options, please. Okay. So where it says the weekend data dane to your right.
Yes.
Rather than hide, click on the down arrow next to it. Merge into Monday data, please. To make it more smoother. Press apply. Bam. There you go.
And that'll be for all charts?
Correct. And that will eliminate gapping.
And I should do this on my live trade too then, huh?
I highly recommend it, yes.
General options, weekend data. Okay, merge Mondays. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Because of the funky thing of Sunday, right? Sunday 5.
Yes.
So in most cases anyway, they just merge it to the Monday to make it easier. Okay, nice. All right, Jenny, your turn. Let's have a look. Okay, so Russell, see if you can spot what's missing based on Jenny's. Okay, so Jenny, if you go through the same what Russell did, please, from the current candle, working your way to the left, and identify your peaks and troughs, please.
So this peak, troughs, peak, troughs, peak, 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 troughs, peak, troughs, peak, troughs. Oh, there's a peak. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Nice.
And troughs, peak, troughs, peak, troughs, peak, troughs, peak, troughs, peak, troughs, peak. Oh, this is troughs.
Good one.
This one, yeah. Troughs. And that's all.
Okay, and one more to your mega left, to the top right there. That's peak.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't see the other. Okay.
All right, and we're going to do the same with you as well, Jenny. We're going to merge the data into
Option?
Monday. Yep. Click on option.
Where?
Bottom, second from the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Click on general options, the top one, and then say the weekend data, second below the bottom. And then click the hide. And
Show?
merge.
Merge.
Yes, please. And then press apply.
Weekend data merge into Monday.
So it will create more smoothness in terms of the chart. Okay, nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Excellent. Since now you identify that, then identify your trends for me, please. Seems to me that you guys have done that. What I'll do, I'll just finish it off and then we'll go and you go to the exercise, okay? So just bear with me for 1 sec. Just point of recap and review. So to identify the trend, simply depending on the time frame, we always look at the bigger picture. So the default actually is at least a minimum of 72 candles. That's why it's on a daily time frame, 3 months is the minimum, just to identify basically the trend. But if there's no that you can't see the highest high, then go to 6 months. If it doesn't go to 6 months, go to a year or 2 years, just to see the overall, just to find where the highest high of them all, just to identify basically the trend, whether it's an uptrend or a downtrend. So if it's an uptrend, find the lowest low of the chart, which is now the troughs. You're connecting basically the troughs, connecting through the first trough to the second trough. That's basically most valid to the chart. And then you can identify the hierarchy of the trend, whether it's primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, and so forth. So based on hierarchy of trends, the primary trend will always going to be the main trend. And then inside the main trend, you'll have a secondary trend, basically intermediate, short-term, tertiary, and then you have quaternary, which is almost on a like day trading momentum type trading environment. Okay, so here's an example. So by identifying the peaks and troughs, so mainly the troughs of an uptrend, point A, point B, point C, point D, point E. So from point A to point B, that's your primary. B to C, that's your secondary. C to D, tertiary. D to E is your quaternary. So why do they have hierarchy? Well, that if price chooses to break the quaternary trend, then the next part is that it will fulfill its tertiary trend in terms of touching. And in most cases when price drops, they will also be on a level of demand, especially on the downside, when price is going to correct itself. So from here, either the price will drop to correct itself before we continue, but if it breaks out, then we'll go to the tertiary before we'll continue to go up. If it breaks out from the tertiary, quaternary, tertiary to the secondary, which is now the green, if it breaks, then it will go through the major one, which is now the primary, before it will continue to go further up. Hence, especially this is how you will see things. And so forth. But in between, you'll have a trending market. You'll also have a downtrend, uptrend, downtrend. Okay, so, and when we get to law of harmonic vibration, in every wave there's also a small wave. Okay, and that's why they have hierarchies in terms of trends. Questions, queries, challenges?
When you connect a primary trend, why do you pick the A. The next one is the one. How do you pick that one?
I'm sorry. Come again, please. Say that again, please.
The primary trend.
Yes.
I know you start from the beginning. The lowest, the shortest.
Yes.
And then how do you pick the B?
Okay, got it. If I choose this as B,
why not?
Then the line will go through there. Yes, it existed over here at one point, but once price has already been broken, then you have a new existing one. So you always connect to the existing one, not what's already happened basically in the past.
So you pick the lowest, shortest?
Correct. So where it's most valid in terms of the validity of the trend. This one finished, doesn't exist anymore. It's like, if you're, just imagine you're over here, and then you're looking at simply a cliff or a mountain or like a cave, right? You will see this point, you will see this point, you will see that point, but you cannot see surpassed beyond B. That's all you're going to see is this. You won't be able to see this, you won't be able to see that, you won't be able to see that, you won't be able to see that. So when something has already been established, it's gone. So the next one is if you're only here, now if you're over here, then you will be able to see these points. If you're now move over here, then you're only going to see that point. This one's blocking off. So in other words, this is blocking off this. You can see that, that, and that. If you're only going through here, then you have to surpass that. Now you're blocked off because you have that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. How about Russell? Do you have any questions?
Not at all, no.
Perfect. Okay, then to the downside. Trend is your friend, and we go against the trend. Sorry. Okay, so to the downside is basically the same. You're just basically looking at the peaks rather than the troughs. Okay, so based on your peaks and troughs that you dictated for yourself, or that you already created, draw your trends. See if you can identify your primary. See if there's a secondary. See if the tertiary. See if there's a quaternary. See if there's even quaternary. Okay, so I'll give you guys a few minutes. Actually, in actual fact, we'll do it as a live environment. I'm going to start from Russell. Okay, let me have a look. I know that you guys have been practicing. Maybe that's what you guys have been doing as well with either Jason or Jeff at night. Okay, nice. So in this particular case, you have a primary. Will you have a secondary?
That's pretty much it in terms of there might be like one more that I can squeeze in here. Would you put that in, Ray? That little sliver?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, very good.
And then I guess on the uptrend there would be a couple.
Where will be your primary uptrend, Russell?
The primary uptrend would be, I would have to go back a ways on the...
So if you stuck just to where you're at this point in time, based on the daily time frame. Where's point A and where's point B?
I guess this is probably the lowest low, so my bad.
There you go. So you have your primary.
That would be the primary.
All right.
And this would be the...
Will you have a secondary uptrend?
That would be the secondary from this point to this. Oh, no. because it's not a trough, right?
Correct. So you have nothing.
And this is a present candle, so that one wouldn't count either, right?
Exactly. So, but you only have a primary uptrend. You will wait again for another day to see whether if today's low will be a confirmed low. So if tomorrow,
trough.
simply the low won't surpass today's low, then now you'll have a confirmed trough. Then that's where you're going to put in now your secondary uptrend. Excellent. Okay, good. Okay, let's look at Jenny.
Is this right?
All right, so same thing will help you out right here. So, can you do me a favor, please, there, Jenny? Click on one of the lines for me. Right-click it for me. Change the line.
To this one?
Yes, please. Click on that. Click on extend line end, and then set as default. Press yes, press OK, or apply. Okay. So, firstly, where's the starting point of the peak? Okay, great. Where's point B? That you can really see it. But if you're, say, on top of the mountain, which one will you see? Okay, great. Okay, now change the extension because you extended all the way to the last peak right there. Click on
Change
that.
it?
Yes, and then just move it. If you hold it, you can move it. There you go. Great. Now see, there's a separation between the peak and the broken trend line. So to draw is simply from point B, rather than putting it now on the peak right there, put it on the third peak, on the current. So that's the starting point, and then the end point of that, raise it to the current peak. So that's the starting point, so that's correct. The end point of that line, drag it all the way to the first, yes. Yes, there, change it to the top. To your right. Actually, delete that. That's easier. That's the easiest. Just delete that one for me, please, Jenny. Remove, and then put in a new one. Since you've made it now as default, always click high and low. Not there. Click it to point C, because that one's already finished. That actually broke through. So the next one now is where? The current peak. Where is the current peak? There. Okay, that's your secondary. and your primary uptrend is correct, and I will show you why. Maximize the screen for me, please. Maximize the chart for me. I meant, so if you use your mouse and then scroll, yeah, like that. Maximize it. Keep going, please. Maximize it. If you use your mouse, you can maximize. Okay, I think it's best if I show it to you on my end.
Do you mean maximize?
Yes, so have a look at this. So when you're adding your trend lines, your horizontal, your add line, always click on high and low. So that's 1. Here's 2. That's your primary uptrend. So what I mean by maximize, see, like this. Make it huge so you can actually see it. So in time, oops, you'll see, look at the separation. Time gets longer, the angle also separates. So that means that if this one chooses to go back up, this is your first barrier, this is your second barrier. And then once that one has been broken, then the price to beat is this. Either create a new high or to create a lower high. Okay, so that's why it's even these 2 parts right here, they make a big difference. Hi, little puppy. Okay.
I don't see my screen microphone. Where is? Oh.
What do you see? Do you see the chart?
Yeah, I see your chart, but I lost the panel.
Yeah. See, this is now where the price that if it doesn't want to break through within this barrier, then price will come back down over here, rebound to go there, come back down here, until they'll decide whether the price will continue to go to the upside or this is going to continue the trend to create a new lower level.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, why do you stop the B to this the pre? Why don't you just connect the B to the end?
No, then
so the end peak.
You can't do that. That's now very subjective, right? So that's why the peaks and troughs are important. Watch, if I raise this and this is now going through there, then you're cutting off. You can't cut off.
I see.
And this is a big problem. You know, when people learn how to trade, it's like, yeah, just 2 or 3 touches, then you're fine. No, that's incorrect. All highs and lows, all peaks and troughs will always going to be tested at one point. So like this one, that from there, notice how when price here create, then you have that distance that it has to cover. This is your guideline.
Okay.
Your broken trend line is like a laser thing. Can it go surpass that or can it go below it? So when price is approaching and in a downtrend, that means something. That price is not willing to go beyond that because this institutions are already looking at this trend as well. They already know what the price points are going to be. So someone wasn't willing to go above it, and they're only willing to pay at 108.48.7. No more, no less. And a seller accepted basically the offer, hence price basically dropping. That's where we're at. So now either they will cover the distance here, 105.50, or they're going to say, well, screw that, I'm a low demand. I will push the price beyond 107.90 and so forth to reach on this end. Okay, so very, very important not to cut corners.
I see.
All right, so your homework is to do your trends, practice, see if you can do 10 a day, different time frames. Go through your time frame that you love. 30 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours, daily, 8 hours, 6 hours, week, monthly. Okay, see if you can identify your primary, secondary, tertiary. And be objective as much as you can. And then please email it to, I will send you, so currently in the group, you have Jenny, Russell, Jermel, Jason. I'm going to add Samantha, Caitlin. Okay. So there's quite a few actually. We'll basically check. Oh, I know I need to add Ruba, Steve. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
How many charts?
If you do 10 a day, that would be fantastic.
10 charts
Yes,
a day?
Yes, please.
And how many days?
Until you get sick of it. Because this is an important aspect that each and every time you're analyzing, you need to identify these. Identify the areas of demand and supply, which is going to be next. Okay.
So trend lines, right? Trend
Yes,
lines.
please.
Okay.
And if you can just identify as well, not the whole 3 months, but just identify a few, like 10 peaks and troughs.
10 peaks charts
Yes.
each chart, you mean?
Each chart. So you just you circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's more than good enough. Just to identify whether you can identify the peaks and troughs. If you can do the whole lot, then even better. Then you do your trend lines. Primary, secondary, tertiary, and so forth. All right, and then email it to Jenny, Russell, Jamil, Jason, Samantha, Caitlin, Ruben, and Steve. Okay, I will set up. I'll do it right now. So you will have.
I don't have Ruba Steve's email.
Okay, I'm going to do that right now, actually. Okay, compose. So we have.
I have all others except Ruba Steve.
Okay. Just bear with me for 1 sec. Sorry, Jenny, what's your email address again, please? Jenny, what's your email address?
I'm typing.
Okay, there we go. Alrighty, there we have Russell and son, Jermel, Jason, Samantha, Caitlin, Ruba, Steve. Okay, there you go. All right, any questions in terms of today? All right, no questions.
No questions.
You guys enjoy then your lunch, and I'll see you guys later on.
Bye.
Bye. See you, Russell.
Have a good day.
Bye,
Bye.
Jenny.